there is a plant that breaks one of nutrition's most protected rules. It delivers the same essential fats we are told only come from fish, yet it grows nowhere near oceans, boats, or nets. It survives frozen mountains, coastal wastelands, and soils so damaged that modern agriculture has already given up. And inside a single bright orange berry, it contains something no other plant on Earth can claim. All 4 omega fatty acids together in one natural package. Omega-3, omega-6, omega-9, and the one most people are rarely told about at all, omega-7. For decades, salmon has been treated as the gold standard. Fish oil capsules line pharmacy shelves. Entire industries scrape the oceans to extract nutrients this plant has quietly produced for over 1,000 years. Not through laboratories, not through refinement, through survival. This plant does not need ideal conditions. It does not depend on fertilizers or synthetic systems. It simply grows, delivering a nutrient profile so complete it challenges everything we are told about where real nutrition comes from. So the mystery is not whether it works. History already answered that. Armies relied on it. Monks documented it. Governments used it when medicine failed. The real question is harder to ignore. If a single plant can rival salmon and replace multiple supplements, why have we forgotten it? Welcome to Lost Nature Archive. The plant at the center of this story is sea buckthorn, known scientifically as Hippophae rhamnoides. It is a thorny, nitrogen-fixing shrub native to Europe and Asia, with silver-green leaves and clusters of bright orange berries that cling directly to the wood. It does not look like a miracle, but biologically, it breaks rules. Nutrition science says should not be breakable. Sea buckthorn is the only known plant that naturally contains all 4 omega fatty acids at the same time. Omega-3, omega-6, omega-9, and the rarest of all, omega-7. Most plants offer 1, sometimes 2. Fish offer omega-3 and omega-9. But omega-7, palmitoleic acid, is almost absent from the plant kingdom. Sea buckthorn produces it in abundance. This matters because omega-7 behaves differently from the others. It targets mucous membranes, the internal skin of the body, the lining of the gut, the surface of the eyes, the mouth, the respiratory tract, the reproductive system. These tissues are constantly exposed to inflammation and cellular stress. Omega-7 supports their repair at the cellular level, something omega-3 alone does not do. Here is the part rarely explained. Sea buckthorn does not just contain vitamins and fats, it packages them together. The berry provides fat-soluble vitamins alongside the lipids required to absorb them. Vitamin A, vitamin E, and vitamin K are delivered in a form the body can actually use. No separate supplements required. No artificial carriers. Modern nutrition treats nutrients as isolated parts. This plant delivers a complete system. And once you understand that, the question becomes unavoidable. If this biology is real, why did entire civilizations rely on it while modern diets pretend it barely exists? To answer that, we have to go back to the first time humans noticed what this plant could do. Long before laboratories and clinical trials, this plant earned its reputation the hard way, through survival. The name Hippophae comes from ancient Greek, meaning shining horse. That is not poetry, it is a record. In the 4th century before the Common Era, Alexander the Great pushed his army through Central Asia. Horses were wounded, exhausted, and starving. Military doctrine demanded they be abandoned. Instead, soldiers noticed something strange. The horses fed on bright orange berries growing on thorny shrubs along the mountain slopes. Weeks later, animals that should have died returned stronger. Wounds closed. Coats turned glossy. The effect was so consistent, it was written down. The plant became known as the one that restored the horse. Centuries later, the same knowledge surfaced again. In the 13th century, Genghis Khan prepared armies that would travel farther than any force in recorded history. Mongol records describe sea buckthorn berries being fed to soldiers and horses before campaigns. Not as food, but as preparation. Stamina increased, recovery accelerated. Armies stayed mobile while opponents collapsed from fatigue. Strategy mattered, but biochemistry mattered more. High in the Himalayas, Tibetan physicians formalized this understanding. The four tantras, the foundation of Tibetan medicine, dedicated dozens of chapters to sea buckthorn as a primary treatment. Heart conditions, digestive disorders, skin damage, reproductive health. For over 1,000 years, it was not considered supplemental, it was essential. This was not folklore, it was applied medicine, refined across generations. And what makes that unsettling is this. When modern governments faced extreme biological damage, they turned to the same plant. By the 20th century, sea buckthorn had moved from ancient medicine into something far more controlled: state science. In the early 1960s, the Soviet space program faced a problem no textbook could solve. At orbital altitude, cosmic radiation damages human tissue at the cellular level. Skin breaks down. Inflammation accelerates. Conventional treatments offered little protection. When Yuri Gagarin became the first person to leave Earth, Soviet physicians quietly relied on oil extracted from Hippophae rhamnoides. Cosmonauts applied it topically to protect skin from radiation exposure and to accelerate healing after the extreme forces of re-entry. The results worked well enough to become protocol, even if much of the data remained classified. Then came the disaster that removed all ambiguity. In 1986, Reactor 4 at Chernobyl exploded. Victims suffered radiation burns conventional medicine could barely treat. Among the few substances officially approved for care was sea buckthorn oil, not experimental, authorized, applied when other options failed. This matters because radiation damage is not cosmetic. It is cellular, DNA disruption, oxidative stress, tissue breakdown that continues long after exposure. Sea buckthorn's effectiveness points to something deeper than vitamins. It suggests protection at the membrane level, where fats and antioxidants shield cells from collapse. Modern analysis helps explain why. Sea buckthorn contains high levels of superoxide dismutase, an enzyme that neutralizes superoxide radicals, one of the most damaging free radicals in human biology. It also provides carotenoids, tocopherols, and flavonoids, delivered in lipid form, so they reach the cell wall intact. At this point, the pattern becomes uncomfortable. When conditions are extreme, war, radiation, spaceflight, governments reach for this plant. But in everyday health conversations, it disappears. Which raises a harder question. If the science holds up under the harshest conditions imaginable, why is it absent from modern nutrition, beauty, and medical systems? Well, to answer that, we have to look inside the berry itself. What makes a single plant capable of replacing so many different supplements, creams, and treatments at once? Is it just loaded with nutrients, or is it doing something different inside the body that most foods can't? Well, the answer is not just what sea buckthorn contains, but how it delivers it. Most foods provide isolated nutrients. Sea buckthorn provides a system. Inside the berry, vitamins and fats are bound together in the same structure, meaning absorption happens naturally, without added carriers or synthetic formulations. This is critical for fat-soluble vitamins. Vitamin A, vitamin E, and vitamin K are useless without lipids to transport them through the intestinal wall. Sea buckthorn solves this internally. The oils are already present, so the nutrients reach the bloodstream intact. This is biological design, not fortification. At the center of this system is omega-7, palmitoleic acid. Unlike omega-3, which reduces inflammation broadly, Omega-7 targets epithelial tissue. That includes the lining of the gut, the surface of the eyes, the mouth, and the reproductive tract. These tissues regenerate constantly and are vulnerable to dryness, inflammation, and hormonal shifts. Omega-7 supports their structure at the membrane level, restoring flexibility and moisture from the inside out. Studies have shown reductions in systemic inflammation markers, improved insulin sensitivity, and decreased liver fat accumulation with sea buckthorn oil consumption. These effects point toward metabolic regulation, not symptom masking. Skin studies show increased hydration and elasticity through oral intake, indicating internal cellular repair rather than surface treatment. This explains something the supplement industry avoids admitting. Many products treat the same systems separately. One for gut health, one for skin, one for hormones, one for inflammation. Sea buckthorn addresses all of them through shared biology, and that creates a problem. You cannot sell 6 different bottles when one plant does the work of all 6. Which brings us to the final and most revealing part of this story. If this biology is real and the evidence supports it, why did a plant this powerful slip out of everyday use? The answer has very little to do with nutrition and everything to do with systems. Sea buckthorn does not fit the industrial agriculture model. The shrub is armoured with dense, razor-sharp thorns. The berries do not hang from stems. They cling directly to the wood. Try to harvest them by hand and they burst. Try to harvest them by machine and they are crushed into pulp. The only method that works at scale involves cutting branches, flash freezing them, and shaking the berries loose while frozen solid. It is slow. It is expensive. It resists efficiency. Industrial farming prioritizes crops that harvest cleanly, store easily, and ship cheaply. Corn, wheat, soy. Sea buckthorn demands care, cold storage, and immediate processing. Nutrient density loses to shelf stability every time. But that is only half the story. Sea buckthorn also restores land. Its roots form a symbiotic relationship with nitrogen-fixing bacteria, pulling nitrogen from the air and feeding the soil without fertilizer. It stabilizes erosion, thrives in poor ground, and regenerates ecosystems where farming has already failed. It does not just feed people, it heals landscapes. And systems built on extraction do not reward regeneration. This plant cannot be patented, it cannot be monopolized. It replaces multiple product categories at once. That makes it inconvenient, yet it keeps growing in mountains, along coastlines, in forgotten fields, offering the same biology that sustained armies, protected astronauts, and treated radiation victims. If this video opened something for you, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell. Some fruits cross oceans before they reach your plate. Others grow quietly where no one thinks to look. The next buried truth opens soon.